obstacle to AI adoption isn't the technology at all, it's fear. Organizations are investing billions in AI tools, but many employees still don't know where to begin. Leaders expect instant results, and learning programs often feel disconnected from real work. I've always been a self learner. Put me in a traditional classroom, and I will get bored, I will get restless, I will get lost. But give me a problem to solve, and I will spend hours figuring it out. But what I've learned is that self directed learning has a downside, what I call Swiss cheese knowledge. You pick up skills as you go, but there are gaps you don't even realize exist until you stumble into them. When I shared that idea with Paige, she took it a step further, exploring why AI learning isn't just about consuming more tutorials or experimenting with new tools. It's about creating enough structure, agency, and community to fill in those gaps and build real confidence. If your organization is trying to adopt AI or you're trying to stay relevant in this rapidly changing workforce, this episode offers a roadmap for moving from fear and fragmented knowledge to genuine fluency.
Oh, I believe that executives who understand the power of AI from their own perspective, and they can then have the empathy to say, "Oh, this is more complicated than I thought." They'll be the ones that go, "Okay, we need to give our people space and time during their workday to figure this out." However, I do believe that people are going to have to take it upon themselves to adopt a lifelong learner framework for themselves to upskill. There are so many companies still that don't even have a full version of Copilot that they have released inside of their company. A lot of enterprise companies use Microsoft, so it's Copilot. Talked with somebody yesterday, like they haven't even released it to anybody in our company except the AI champions, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So for me, it's they need to figure out, the companies need to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this well? And the way we do that well is starting with executives. We have to start at the top so that they can see the vision of what is possible, and then it trickles down from there. But I do believe that people themselves are going to have to take agency to figure out how can I use this tool to upskill myself for my own work? Because ultimately, you are in charge of your destiny here. AI is not going anywhere. It is being shoved down our throats, and I completely empathize with that. However, figuring out your journey with AI is paramount in order to stay valid in the market. So here's what we've learned. I've mentioned that I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to the learning sciences. There is a framework that we implement at the Bradbury Group called self-determination theory. And think of it like a three-peg stool. So the first part is structure. As humans, we need structure to find our pathway forward. I will say though, when it comes to AI, it's not necessarily a point A to point B. It can be a bit of a meander. And so knowing that from the beginning, I'll just say this: enjoy the journey, because this is a journey because it's still unfolding as we learn it. So understanding it from that perspective is going to be very important for the mentality of a lifelong learner. Okay, so but having structure, saying to yourself, okay, I want to learn one thing about one tool that I know I can safely use at work and avoid everything else. Use that as a structure. So that's the first part. Second is agency. You bring something really important to the table when it comes to AI, and that is your knowledge. That is your domain expertise. AI is a tool that you get to work with, not the other way around. And that is something that I believe has kind of gotten lost in the equation with everything, that we just have to take it at face value, whatever it says. Absolutely not. Within that structure, you learning how to do strategic frameworks, how to work with it in the right way is part of the secret sauce of making the outputs and your work better. But you have got to be involved. So you have agency. And the third is community. There is that is for us what we have seen at the Bradbury Group is the what moves the needle with people because they get stuck. If they're just doing a LinkedIn learning course on their own or they're doing a YouTube video and it's not tied to a bigger purpose and structure of getting from point A to point B, like I want to do a use case that actually will matter for my role at my job, and you're just doing a one-off course, but there's no real structure. When you're in community and you get stuck, you have people that can walk with you through the messy middle. You have people that can help you when things get rough, or I like to say it's more caught than taught. And so being around others and seeing what's possible. And it's also the humanity of us. We like to collaborate. We like to be with other people in general. And so when you realize you're not the only one that's having a bad moment with learning, and it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not alone. I've got people around me. And so those three things I have found have been an incredible framework to help people get over the hump with AI literacy, with AI fluency, unlocking executives. We do one-on-one, but we're expanding that out to a cohort now where they're going to be interacting with other executives for that community element. I'll tell you, it can get fun once you get over the fear. It can really get fun once you get over the fear because it can, and that gets to the middle part with your domain expertise. When you realize it needs you to do greater things, you're off to the races. Yeah, so this whole idea of eliminating Swiss cheese knowledge is real. And the strategy is let's pull back and start with vocabulary. Like, what is an open model? What is a closed LLM? Why is a thinking model different than a research model? What is a token? How is token usage tied to ROI? I mean, and hallucination. What is reinforcement feedback? What is NIST? I mean, there's so much new vocabulary around this world of AI that is not going anywhere, by the way, that we need to figure out. And the Swiss cheese knowledge, metaphor is perfect because there are a lot of people that have been dabbling, but there are holes. And so our literacy course kind of just pulls it all the way back. And let's just say, okay, we're just going to assume none of us know anything. That creates the psychological safety of people saying there are no stupid questions. There is no, shade here. If you don't know something, that's what this is all about. And it gives people that safety to learn. L&D has oftentimes been a vending machine. And so we now have an opportunity to be more progressive in how we are presenting what is possible with AI, both internally as a community of practitioners with L&D. Like, okay, we're not just going to be creating content. We're going to be tracking the execution of the OKRs, of the ROI. It's almost like adopting a marketing mentality. So think about it like this. Say that you're having calls come in from the call center, and we have dashboards set up, and we have keywords that keep popping up. Like there's something going on with some part of the website, or there's they keep getting a call about this particular topic, but the people don't know how to answer it correctly or where to find the information. They quickly then in L&D can come up with a job aid or a quick little video to help those in the call center to have that information at their fingertips. You didn't have to go and create a big e-learning course on that. You just needed something quick and in the moment. And so that creates a more agile L&D framework for that. Okay, so let's get back over. So that is really, really important to understand about what's possible with learning and development with what is coming with AI. But back to the coursework per se, we need to all understand that we cannot learn if we feel afraid, threatened, or pressured. Nobody learns in that type of environment sustainably. Now, do we learn from our mistakes? Yes. And oftentimes, what we find is when it gets messy and you kind of end up down a rabbit trail, you're like, okay, I learned something. But you have to have a community to bring you back to center, to have that structure to continue forward. And addressing the Swiss cheese knowledge aspect of what is happening is paramount, because then an organization has the same language. They all understand what they're saying. The leader completely understands that it maybe takes 5 to 6 weeks to completely kind of get your footing. And so they're not going to be putting pressure on their people to get it done in a week. They're going to understand, oh, I need to give them time during the day to kind of maybe have a hackathon, or, let's just have like a lunch and learn something, or do a show and tell kind of thing. We're finding that organizations that adopt that kind of framework are doing much better in AI adoption and retaining employees as well. Now, we could also talk about, well, what does it look like when a person's job changes? Yeah, we can talk about that, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for executives to unlock in that area that truly makes me excited about what is possible when we have an upskilled workforce.
If there's one lesson to take away from today's conversation, it's this: AI fluency isn't built through pressure, it's built through curiosity, structure, and support. The organizations that thrive won't necessarily be the ones with the newest technology. They'll be the ones that give their people permission to learn, experiment, and grow together. And for each of us individually, the message is equally clear. Your expertise is still your greatest asset. AI amplifies it, it doesn't replace it. Thanks for listening. And if you want to continue learning about leadership and navigating change and amplifying potential, subscribe.